My hair has always been on the thinner side structure-wise, but it wasn't until I took the before pictures for the before and after I wanted to show you in the review of the CurrentBody Skin LED hair growth helmet that I realized how much thinner it had become in the last decades, this time in quantity more than in texture. This is a picture of my hair age 32, and this is a current one, 13 years, 2 children, and the pandemic later. I have talked about the main reasons for hair loss and hair thinning before, but never realized how much they actually applied to me until I really did the comparison. The changes are subtle and happen over time, so they are really easy to miss. Now, 6 months later, did the CurrentBody LED hair growth helmet bring any changes? How easy was it to stick to using it, and is it worth your money? Let's talk. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Dr. Anne, a medical doctor here to teach you how to best take care of your skin and general well-being. The helmet claims to increase hair thickness, so the diameter of each individual hair strand, hair density, the amount of hairs, and the fullness, which I would translate to the overall appearance of the hair with just 10 minutes of daily use. The helmet comes in 2 different sizes, small and medium, which cost the same and differ only in widths. There are instructions on how to measure your head on the website. I went with the small size, which fits perfectly. I have a small head. In the package included is a charging cord without adapter for the socket, but it's a standard USB-C, so I'm sure you have one at home, as well as a mount to put the helmet on top of. At first I thought that wasn't necessary, but around 1.5 kilogram, it is easy to knock off the table. Probably not the best for something made from plastic, so the mount is actually quite useful. I dropped mine by accident a few times and have cracks in the plastic already. Inside there are the LED lights as well as 2 rows of rubbery things that the helmet will rest on to keep the ideal distance from the scalp. If you have watched my videos about LED light therapy already, you know that the wavelength used is quite important, and so is the irradiance the device provides, as different wavelengths have different results, and the irradiance, which you can roughly translate as power the device has, will affect the amount of time you need to use it and the results you can achieve. In the few studies done for hair growth, I will get into them a little more later, usually a wavelength of 655 nanometer was used, but devices with up to 694 nanometers did deliver results. The CurrentBody Skin LED hair growth helmet uses 120 LEDs with a wavelength of 660 nanometers according to the handbook that comes with it, and has an irradiance of 30 milliwatt per centimeter square per LED, translating to 5 milliwatt per centimeter square on the head. On the website, though, there is an article claiming it uses 640 nanometers, which is why I reached out to the brand for clarification. Turns out they use a spectrum of different LED lights ranging from 620 nanometers to 660 nanometers. The 640 nanometers on the website is the median. The 660 nanometer in the handbook, the highest one used. I admit I'm not super happy with that. I much prefer having a definite answer than a median, but that's what you get. I also came across a video in which the guy testing the helmet measured the irradiance, which was only 3 milliwatt per centimeter square, but obviously can't comment on the quality of these measurements. We can't say for sure what the ideal irradiance would be, but 5 and below is definitely on the lower end of the spectrum. The helmet comes with 2 Bluetooth speakers that connect easily to your devices and allow you to listen to music, a podcast, or watch your show while doing the treatment. You can adjust the height to fit your ears, but I admit I could have done without them, as my hair would quite frequently get caught either in the speakers or in one of the rubber things when taking the device off. I have ripped out hair simply because I couldn't untangle it. As you are able to hold a conversation or hear the music in the room even when not using the headphones, I think they are more of a gimmick than necessary. There's also a panel on the side of the helmet that tells you the duration of the treatment, but as it is over your ears, you aren't able to see it while wearing the helmet, making it pretty useless in my opinion. Sadly, there's no indicator of the charge left, meaning that if it isn't sufficiently charged, it will just shut off. Annoying when that happens 1 minute into the treatment, especially when you do it late at night, as it can't be used while it is charging and a full charge takes over an hour. There is a light next to the charging outlet that blinks during the charging process and goes steady once the device is fully charged. As a rule of thumb, it will last me around 7 uses after 1 charge, so I got into the habit of charging it every Sunday and sometimes in between. You are supposed to use it on clean and dry scalp once a day for 10 minutes. The clean and dry doesn't mean that you need to wash your hair every time before doing a treatment, but that there shouldn't be any product in your hair like wax or gel, which would then transfer to the helmet and crust up the LEDs. I usually get ready in the morning and then put on the helmet when I run around the house grabbing all the stuff the kids need for school and preparing breakfast. There's no need to track the time as the device will turn off once the 10 minutes are done. While some people report results after a few weeks, I would be cautious when reading that. The hair goes through different cycles, and it's perfectly normal to experience increased shedding when starting to use a hair growth device, as the hairs that reach the end of their life cycle need to fall out before new growth can be stimulated, which is why I think you need at least 6 months to judge the results, maybe even longer. When you look at how low-level light therapy for hair growth works, you have to understand the hair's life cycle, which goes from a growing phase to a phase in where it rests and then a phase in which it falls out. The studies done on LLLT were done on devices combining LED and laser, and the underlying assumption is that the stimulation through the light activates processes in the cell and hair follicle that stimulate cells, resulting in improved blood flow and scalp circulation while encouraging the delivery of essential nutrients directly to hair follicles. CurrentBody come to the conclusion on their website that LED is superior as it is a more diffuse way of delivering the wavelengths compared to laser. While I agree that LED delivers the light more diffusely than a laser, and with that a larger area of tissue can be covered, I'm not sure if you can say that LED is superior. The data we have is done on devices using both, and I haven't seen anything supporting the conclusion that LED only has a superior effect. What I can say for sure is that LED is cheaper than laser, making LED only device more affordable compared to one combining both. I do go more in depth on that in my video on LLT for hair loss, but in short, you have to understand that the data we have is limited, and that while it certainly does no harm when used according to manufacturer instructions and coming from a reputable brand, low-level light therapy might help with reducing hair loss, but isn't a guaranteed cure, especially if there are so many different reasons why your hair could be falling out, and not all of them are affected by light therapy. But now onto my 6-month results. I took pictures of my central part, my frontal hairline, and an area on my right temple where ever since my daughter was born the hair seemed to have receded more than it did on the other side. Taking the pictures made me realize that I did have a broader middle part than I used to, and that on my hairline the hairs didn't seem as dense as I remembered them to be, something I wouldn't have noticed just by looking in the mirror. 6 months later the pictures look like this. Here's the front, before on your left and after on your right. Quite frankly, I don't see much of a difference there in terms of density and no change in thickness, but I would be curious what you think. Moving on to the middle parting now, again the before on your left and the after on your right. Here I would say I do see a difference in the back, where there was a broadening of the part I never had noticed before, and that seems to have improved in the after picture. On the other hand, I do see more scalp shining through in the front of the after picture that wasn't there before, so better in one place and worse in another? What do you think? Finally, the patch on my right temple where the hairline had receded, again before on your left and after on your right. This is where I see the biggest positive difference out of all 3 areas. There's definitely more hair there, and the hair appears to be less fine both visually and to the touch. Quite impressive, as I have this patch for more than 10 years now. Overall though, I think it's a mixed bag. I am inclined to say that I do see positive changes, but only subtle ones, and surely less than I had hoped for. There are several explanations for that. Consistency. I have used it daily for 10 minutes with the exception of 1 week when I went to Mallorca by plane and didn't want to bring it with me, and a few days here and there when I was too sick to be bothered. I think that is consistent enough over a period of 6 months, but maybe I would have seen better results if I hadn't missed these days. Strength. The irradiance of the device is on the lower end of the spectrum, especially if the measurements I've seen online are true, so maybe a longer period of using it would yield better results. I don't recommend going against manufacturer instructions though, so using it once a day for 10 minutes is what I will do, but maybe using it 20 minutes or getting one with a high irradiance would yield better results. Causes for hair loss. During the 6 months of testing, I had to undergo surgery and fell ill with COVID once. Both qualify as stressful events for the body that typically result in increased hair shedding 3 months after the event. So maybe the results weren't as good as they would have been if these things didn't happen. Or put differently, maybe my hair would look much worse now if it wasn't for the helmet. A common question I see online is how the CurrentBody hair growth helmet compares to other hair loss treatments in terms of results, and the truth is that entirely depends on the cause of your hair loss. But assuming the underlying cause is the same, the helmet, actually any brand's helmet, is best used in addition to other treatments. The ones with the best clinical data are minoxidil and finasteride, either taken orally or as a topical treatment, and even their results aren't guaranteed. As especially with systemic use, the side effects can be more than you are willing to take. Using the helmet as basically adverse effect free alternative is possible if you are willing to accept much less noticeable results. The best route non-systemically would probably to do topical minoxidil paired with microneedling and low-level light therapy, but I wouldn't try treating noticeable hair loss without consulting a doctor to make sure you have the best treatment for your individual situation before you reach a state where hair follicles are beyond the point of being able to be stimulated again. When you ask me if the CurrentBody Skin LED hair growth helmet is worth your money, I have to say it depends. If you, like me, have hair that is thinning with age but no significant hair loss, and the other options for one reason or another don't work for you, then it is something you can consider. It is quite expensive though, so you are probably better off with using topical minoxidil when you set results and money spent into relation. I tried using minoxidil after my son was born, but couldn't deal with how it made my hair feel, so didn't use it consistent enough to get results. The helmet, on the other hand, is very convenient to use, doesn't require much effort other than the consistency that was easily achieved with habit stacking, and it did give me some very subtle results, which is why I'm happy and will continue using it. At €786 a piece, though, it should be money you have in your budget without sacrifices to make it worth the investment in relation to the results you can expect. I will include it in my yearly device update to see if the progress changes when used longer than 6 months. Now tell me, is this something you're interested in? And if you enjoyed this video, you will most likely enjoy the ones linked on the screen here. Don't forget to check out the description box for everything else I have to offer, and like and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss the next video. See you there. Bye.